This is a presentation of the University of Wisconsin-Parkside.
Good evening, everyone. Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. All right. Now I know you're out there. Welcome to the first ever University of Wisconsin-Parkside Public Speaking Night. I'm your host, Dave Buchanan. For those of you who have seen the 100 Days, just think of me as Caesar Flicker from The Doom Break. Without the blue hair, of course. Without the fake teeth. How many have seen the movie? I highly recommend it. Very interesting movie. Tonight we have 8 students who will step on this very stage and attempt to dazzle our judges and you with their powers of persuasion. This epic contest is presented by the Speech Studies program at the University of Wisconsin-Parkside Theater Arts Department and our faculty members, Bonnie Peterson. Where's Bonnie? There she is. All right. The standard wave, the standard parade wave there, as you bring us the numbers. Nicholas Michael Radnikar. And Michael Saylor. There he is right there. We will meet our contestants in just a moment, but first let's meet our esteemed judges. They are Racine County Executive James Ladwick and Chief of Staff for the Kenosha County Executive Jim Cruiser. Please welcome Jenny Tumkeys. Mr. Ladwick is a graduate of the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. He served for 12 years as a police officer in the village of Caledonia, advancing to detective and working in the Racine County Metro Drug Unit. He also is the manager of the family business, the Mulligan Mini Golf. In Caledonia, he owns his own waterfall. Ladies and gentlemen. In 2004, he was elected Racine County Register of Deeds, and he was elected the Racine County Executive in 2011. He is an avid basketball fan and coach, a diehard Bucky backer, and please give a warm welcome from UW-Parkside to James Ladwick. Ms. Tumkeys is a proud graduate of the University of Wisconsin-Parkside. She is a former reporter and editor for the Ranger News. Upon her graduation, she became the first and only female editor of the Kenosha News. She later served as a reporter and editor for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and she received the 2005 Milwaukee Press Club Award for Excellence in Journalism. She has worked for County Executive Jim Cruiser, who is also a Parkside graduate, I might add. Since June of 2008, Jenny is the Vice President of the Kenosha Achievement Center Board, and she co-chairs the organization Healthy People 2020. Please give a warm welcome home to Jenny Tumkeys. Okay, now here's the deal. Each of our contestants will give a persuasive speech of 6 minutes in length, no longer, no less, on a topic appropriate to a general student and community audience. Do we have general students here and audience here? Okay, you look good. You look general and audience. They will use PowerPoint, and their speech must contain a clear call to action. The judges will be looking for accuracy of time. They'll be looking for the call to action, extemporaneous style, eye contact, gestures, the PowerPoint, persuasive technique, supporting evidence, and vocal delivery. The contestants will be looking for bragging rights as the first ever winner of the UW-Parkside Public Speaking Night. And now let's meet our contestants. Please stand and turn and face the audience when I call your name. Christopher Evanson, Sport Management. Allison George, Criminal Justice. Tracy Rybar, Business Management. She is also a degree in non-traditional region for the University of Wisconsin system. Kamaljeet Maughan, Biological Sciences, Pre-Pharmacy. Brittany Macaroni. Neil Rosenberg, Business Management Information Cell. And Joel Trentadue, Biological Sciences. They will be called to the stage in alphabetical order. First, please welcome Christopher Evanson.
All right, well, summer's just around the corner, and that means motorcycles are going to be out on the road. What do you think of when you hear the word motorcycle? Some people think of a blood red sport bike tearing down the road. Others of you may think of the biggest, most obnoxious chopper you can think of. Obnoxious, you can hear the power coming a mile away. Others of you might think of a dirt bike and knobby tires ripping up the road. What most people don't think about though when they hear the word motorcycle is being a statistic, being part of a twisted hunk of metal on the side of the road waiting for an ambulance. Some of you may know friends, family, maybe even yourself have been involved in an accident like this, many of which can be fatal. Most states do not have a lot of laws when it comes to wearing a motorcycle helmet, but I believe it is a necessary piece of apparel when riding. In this speech, we're going to go over the brief history of motorcycle helmet laws in the country. We're going to go over a few traffic statistics to show how those laws kind of played off, some of the arguments against wearing motorcycle helmets that don't really hold their weight, and then what you can do to protect yourself and others. So first, with history. Up there you can see the three pieces of major legislation that our country has passed since 1966. What do you need to know about them? They all have to come back to one thing: money, funding. Every state, if they have a motorcycle helmet law, they were given money from the federal government, and for those that didn't have the laws, it was taken away. After 2004, a lot of the legislation stayed the same, and we have 20 states today that have universal motorcycle helmet laws, meaning every rider is supposed to wear a helmet. 26 states, including Wisconsin, have partial laws, which means that the riders only have to wear a helmet if they're under a certain age, a certain insurance level, things like that. And we still have 4 states, including Illinois, that do not have any motorcycle helmet laws, unfortunately. So next, what does this mean? Well, in the numbers, at the national level, if you're not wearing a helmet when you're on a motorcycle, you are 40% more likely to be in a fatal accident, 40% more likely to end up dead on the road. What does that mean? Well, in 2005, almost 14,000 people were saved because they were wearing a helmet. On the flip side of that coin, 9,500 were killed because they were not wearing a helmet. It's a big number. A lot of people have to be saved. For states that repeal their motorcycle helmet laws and just go to nothing or they minimize them, they see a 20 to 30% increase in fatalities in the first year alone. And it only goes up after that. But what about Wisconsin? Well, in 2002, we had 78 fatalities from motorcycles. 15 of those riders were wearing a helmet. That means the rest of them, which is roughly 80%, were not wearing helmets, and those deaths could have been avoided. 9 out of 10 of those accidents happened on dry pavement. It wasn't because of some type of conditions. It wasn't because it was raining out. It was just regular, everyday driving. The scary thought, though, is that the rate of fatalities on motorcycles in Wisconsin is growing 11% faster than the rate of ownership. Not something we want to see. So what are some of the arguments against it? Well, a lot of people say that it impairs your vision and your hearing. The National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration did a study to see if this was the case, which was not. It was a complete myth. Most of the helmets you can see here don't even have anything to cover the eyes, and the ones that do, the visors are so far wide and tall enough to the point where it hardly obstructs your vision at all, minimally if at all. The hearing is another big part. But again, this is a big myth. The helmets actually cover your ears, which are only a couple of them in the picture. They actually muffle the noise of the engine. They actually make it more audible for other sounds in traffic, like a horn or somebody yelling, to be heard over the sound of your own engine. Another issue is cost. Cost is one of those things that I never really understood it. I don't see how a $50 helmet can't really be worn when you're wearing a $100 pair of Oakleys on the bike. Also, the University of Arkansas conducted a study about cost, and what they discovered is riders who got in accidents that weren't wearing helmets and had head injuries, 90% of them could not pay their medical bills by the time they died. 90%. Another argument that gets used a lot is climate or the temperature. A lot of people say, hey, it's too warm out. Hey, it's too humid around here to be wearing a helmet. Again, not the case. In the pictures, again, you see the helmets that not the entire face is covered. For those of you who want to wear a full helmet mask, they make pads now from helmets like HJC. They actually have conductive metals in the padding. to conduct the heat off your face. And they also have a residue in them that leaves your face cool to the touch. All helmets also have vents in them to get increased airflow to the face. So now that we kind of went over the history and some of the statistics and the arguments that didn't really hold weight, let's talk about what you can do. First thing is, obviously, wear a helmet. If you're going to be a rider, if you're going to be a driver, wear your helmet. The next thing is, look for SNELL and DOT certification. Every helmet should have a DOT certification sticker on the back, and many have a SNELL sticker. SNELL is a company that does an extra layer of testing, more rigorous than the DOT standards. Another thing you can do is look for features that you like in a helmet. In my helmet, for example, it has a dark visor. This is so it gets rid of the glare during the daytime riding. But a feature that's becoming popular on a lot of helmets is an inner visor. In this case, an amber low light visor. So I can drive better at night. Makes it safer at night. Features like these and modular helmets and any other special thing can attract a buyer to get a helmet. Another thing is bring an extra helmet. You know you're going to have a buddy riding along, bring one along. And many people say, well, I don't have an extra helmet. In Wisconsin, we have a lot of people who ride snowmobiles, ATVs, and other vehicles like that. Any of those helmets do the exact same job. And most bikes come with motorcycle helmet hooks, or a cargo net, or some type of storage device to attach a helmet and bring it along. If you think you're going to have a passenger, bring it along. The third and biggest thing is in the political arena. A professor at Brown University by the name of Clark actually said, or did a study that proved that almost 50% of non-helmeted riders say they would wear a helmet if they were required to by law. So going back to 2005, of those 9,500 people that died from not wearing a helmet, almost 5,000 of them could have been saved if they would have been required by law to wear a helmet. So you say, well, how do I get a law passed? How can I do something? Contact your state representative. They are the ones that can do a lot of the work. Any of your state representatives will help you out there. Another thing you can do is talk to a political activist group or a lobby group, such as the BMW Motorcycle Riders of America. They're a group that's committed to riding, but at the same time, they like to promote rider safety and everything. A lot of safety standards, safety laws, and they're especially huge on helmet safety. So in conclusion, we went over a brief history about motorcycle helmet history. We went over some of the traffic statistics that relate to it, some of the arguments that the other side have that do not hold any weight at all, and what you can do. Motorcycles are a great part of life, and I hope every one of you gets a chance to experience them. I hope I convinced you tonight that having a helmet is just as important as having the bike itself. Thank you.
One of the arguments that Chris did not come up with, just think about Gary Busey. Anybody know Gary Busey? Former actor. He slid his head along a pavement one time. And that's why he's as silly as he is today. So, another good argument. Chris Evanson, please. Our next speaker is Allison George.
Triathlon. I ran track in high school. I competed in the Wisconsin half marathon last spring. Some may call me perhaps a health freak or a fitness guru, but I think that after seeing these statistics, you will join me in my fight for a healthier America. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 1/3 of U.S. adults are obese. That's 35.7%. They also tell us that in 2010, no state had a prevalence of obesity less than 20%. Wisconsin has a 26.3% obesity rate. I want to read a quote taken from an article. It's written by John Gaver of the Perelman School of Medicine, and he tells us that researchers said, if the current obesity epidemic continues unchecked, 50% of the U.S. adult population will be obese with body mass index values of 30 or higher by the year 2010. 2030. 2030 is 17 years away. Our children, our grandchildren, our younger siblings, they will all be growing up in a fat and obese America. Let's take a look. According to these statistics, half of Americans will have a BMI of over 30. 19 to 24 is healthy. 25 to 29 is overweight. 30 to 39 is obese. 40 and over is morbid or extremely obese. Heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, even death are just a few side effects of obesity. Dr. Ricker-Poldorfer of Aurora Healthcare tells us that obesity risk factors include poor diet and lack of physical activity. This means that exercise is not just for fat people, it's not just for people trying to get in shape, it is for all. Exercise is proven to boost endorphins. It firms and tones your body, it strengthens your heart, it relieves stress, increases energy, it can improve joint health, and it can potentially lead to healthier and longer life. So if exercise is so beneficial, why aren't more people out there exercising? Why don't I see people at the gym more often or running on the roads? I found that there are several excuses. One of which would be, I don't have time. I don't have time to exercise. Or perhaps, I can't afford it. I can't afford a gym membership. Or how about, probably the most common one, I hate exercise. I can't stand it. Well, let's knock those excuses right out. Let's take it, I don't have time. I'm a full-time college student, plus I work part-time, and I have about this much time during the day. But if I was going to go to the gym, that would not be enough time. 30 minutes, that's not enough time to go to the gym. But by running, taking running as your form of exercise, you can take that 30 minutes and you can go for a really, really good run. How about I can't afford it? Running is inexpensive. You need no special equipment, no gym membership. Everyone knows how to run. And I can guarantee that every one of you out there has a pair of shoes you can run in. And if you don't, go to the beach, take off shoes and run in the sand. There's no excuse, or I'm sorry, do not have time, can't afford it. Those are not excuses. But let's take the main excuse. I can't stand it, I hate exercise. First of all, let's start out like this. Don't call it a workout and don't call it exercise. Those two words have such negative connotations. Some people could just cry just thinking about those words. Approach your run with a different mindset. Running is not just another workout. It's not just another exercise. You can change your route. You can change your distance. You can change your speed. You can run with friends. You can run with your pet. You can run with music, without music. There are so many variations to running that it's not just another exercise. And also, for running, so many sports, almost all sports out there, are a form of cross-training for running. So you can go play basketball, you can go swim, and those will all help your running. On your handout is the formula for calculating your BMI. And I want you to take it home, and I want you to calculate it out, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to think about it. Half of Americans, half of this audience, will have a BMI of over 30. That's not just overweight, that's obese. This is a huge problem. America is not going to change on its own. America is not going to get healthy on its own. As Gandhi once said, we must become the change we want to see. We have to make a choice to change and to set an example for the next generation. So, grab your shoes. Make the commitment. Just a pair of tennies. You can run once a month. You can run 3 times a week. You can run every day. The choice is yours, this or this. The benefits of running will pay off year after year. So grab your shoes, set the example. Thank you.
I feel healthier already. That's another round of applause for Allison. Now please welcome Tracy Rybar.
Imagine you're famous. Everyone in the country knows your face, knows your name. You have a great talent? No. Did you just cure cancer? No. You're famous because you're on a reality television show. This is one of those reality survival game shows. The only problem is, in this show, only the winner comes out alive. This is the premise for the hugely popular book trilogy and movie called The Hunger Games. Set in a post-apocalyptic society, a sinister government uses this game and the reality TV of all the citizens watching it to control the population. I'm going to be talking to you today about the voyeuristic appeal of reality television. Voyeurism used to refer to the proverbial peeping Tom that topic has given me a new insight into this phenomenon. Reality television appeals to a viewer's sense of voyeurism. It's not really real, and it will challenge you to examine your own ethics and morals. I will explain this voyeuristic appeal to you and propose action that you can take to raise awareness on this issue. The reason voyeuristic television can be so appealing, one of the reasons is that the cameras are mounted like a fly on the wall, watching. According to Lemon Perot, author of Publicized Intimacies on Reality Television, reality TV promises and partially delivers the thrill of seeing something intimate, and doing so without accountability. It's a legally sanctioned way for the voyeur to meet the exhibitionist. There was a study done by Zizi Paparazzi and Andrew Mendelson, featured in an exploratory study of reality TV uses and gratifications. It took place in a gay bar. The patrons of the gay bar watched the stripper, and then they watched the stripper after the strip show showering, where one of those fly-on-the-wall cameras were mounted. The voyeuristic appeal was much, much bigger in the shower scene than the strip show, even though everyone knew of the camera's existence. Viewers get a huge voyeuristic appeal out of watching these reality television shows. Ironically, what they're watching isn't really real. The actors for these shows are carefully screened. Richard Levesque was a psychiatrist who screened participants for his TV show Survivor. He himself was lost in a survival situation in the Sierra Nevada. The difference between his reality and Survivor's reality, there were no camera crews there to bail him out. He barely survived. This from Psychology Today, September 2001. The actors in these shows are encouraged to act as outrageously as possible. Many of you have seen Jersey Shore. They get drunk, they hook up, they get in fights. There's extensive editing on these shows. Angles are used. Shots are shot over and over again. I can tell you there are times in my life I wish I could have shot it over again. Your Last Test, for instance. It's also much cheaper to make reality shows. Hugh Laurie, the star of House, makes $400,000 an episode. Participants on Survivor and Amazing Race debase themselves for months for a chance to win $1 million. When we watch reality TV, what we're really watching are heavily censored, carefully constructed, predetermined vignettes of controlled situations. According to Zidane Sadar, author of The Rise of Voyeurism, what we're really watching are rats trapped on very troubled communities. When you watch these shows, you're really watching someone else's ethics and morals. MTV's Teen Mom says that glamorized pregnancy. Doesn't she look gorgeous? The ABC News says the stars of Teen Mom making the six figures, the 16-year-old made them the six figures for being famous and getting pregnant. 3 of her friends recently became pregnant, that's Janelle Evans, fueling speculation that they did so for the money and fame. Is it ethical for us as a society to exploit things like teen pregnancy for money and entertainment? The participants on these shows usually make very poor decisions. My family, yes, we're guilty of watching reality television. We love Survivor Gold, Discovery's Gold Rush. We're miners go up to Alaska trying to get gold. They're horrible miners. They break equipment. They never find the gold. Would it be fun to watch them if they were good at it? No. According to Zidane Sadar, reality TV objectifies individuals, requiring us as viewers to laugh at their exhibitionism, mock their stupidity, and laugh at their dysfunction. It makes people the ultimate commodity. How far will we go as a society? Have we become like the Bavarians of ancient Rome, where they watched with glee as victims were fed to the lions? I'm sure if television had existed in ancient Rome, the Roman senators would have been sitting in their villas watching on their 70-inch big screens. Now, I'm not going to ask you to give up watching reality television. What I do ask you to do is view it critically have your own ethics and morals. We do not want to become like the historical Roman circuses or the fictional Hunger Games, delighting in the misfortune of others. There are places you can go to post your views on this opinion, places on the internet such as College Net Forum. So I urge you, post your views, let your voice be heard.
Tracy Robert, thanks, Stephanie. Big Dad's situation. The situation is now in rehab, I guess. So, for a little reality check there. Our next speaker is Kamaljit Maughan.
Hello everyone, my name is Kamaljit Maughan, and today I'm going to talk to you all about the drilling issue at the Arctic National Wildlife Reserve and reasons why we should not be supporting the refuge development for drilling oil. Now, this issue has been going on for many years, for over 3 decades so far. And I've been following this issue very closely now for several years, and I care deeply about this issue because I believe that we should not support the drilling there because of the little bit of oil that they might have. Now, you guys might be wondering, okay, what is this Arctic refuge and what is this drilling issue about? Now, this Arctic refuge is a national refuge that has been federally protected by the United States government since the 1960s, and it is located in the northern parts of Alaska, where it covers over 19 million acres of land. Now, according to the Department of Interior evaluation of the Arctic refuge, they believe that there is about 500 million barrels of oil lying beneath the surface of this refuge. Now, because of this, the United States government, more specifically the U.S. House of Representatives, want to drill at this refuge because they believe that the amount of oil there might help them in the oil problems that we are having today in the world. And since oil is one of the main sources of energy today, it has really become a big issue because gas prices are going up and we need the gas oil to turn on our lights and keep our houses running. So the U.S. House of Representatives are more inclined to want to drill at this Arctic refuge for the little bit of oil that they might have. So basically this is a debate on whether or not they should be drilling there or not for the oil that may be there. Now there are several reasons why we should not be drilling at this Arctic refuge. One of the reasons is that because it will affect its ecosystem. There are many types of animals and species and habitats that are resided in this refuge, and if we were to drill there, it will drastically reduce the population to 25 to 50, and to some extent, 75% of the population of some of the species. And that will be because of the amount of pipeline and machineries and roads that we will have to pave in order for us to start our drilling, and it will harm the species that are living there. Also, another reason is because that it will not make any difference in our gas prices or on our foreign dependency on oil. Now, according to the Natural Resources Defense Council, they said, quote, the U.S. government's own energy information agency recently reported that drilling in the Arctic would save less than 4 cents per gallon in 20 years. Save less than 4 cents per gallon in 20 years. Now, that is not a lot. In fact, would drill anything at all. So drilling at this Arctic refuge would therefore not have any big benefit on our oil quantity today. Also, even if we were to drill at this refuge, it would take a minimum of 10 years for us for that recovered oil to be brought onto the market for us to use. Now, in 10 years, many things could happen. The demand for oil can increase by developing countries such as China and India, and our own consumption of oil may increase also. So comparing the demand for oil and the amount of oil lying beneath the surface there, it's not going to be a benefit for anyone. Another reason is that there is not enough oil to last a long time. Now, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, they said that there is less than a year's supply of oil. Now, that's not including the 10 years that we would have to wait to retrieve this oil and the increasing demand that would happen then. So actually, in 10 years, there'll probably be at least maybe 6 months or so of oil that would last. And according to the economist Gernot Wagner, he said that this is a drop in the bucket, meaning that the amount of oil that would be recovered from the refuge would not be sufficient enough to last a long time, and it will not have a big benefit for us to meet all our oil needs. Also, another reason why we should not be drilling at this refuge is because there was a poll taken in 2008, and it said that 55% of Americans did not support the development for this refuge. Now, since the U.S. House of Representatives believe that there is a lot of oil there, there really isn't. Because when you look at the facts, there's probably less than a year, maybe 6 months of supply of oil, and they're just wrong on the facts. And we as Americans should not support this Arctic refuge development, and we should stop them for debating for deciding if they should be drilling there for oil. So what I want you all to do today before you guys leave is that I have a petition for not supporting the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and for drilling the oil, and I'm going to be standing in the back of the room at the end of this event. And if you also believe that they should not be drilling at this beautiful Arctic refuge, sign this petition. Let your voice be heard, and I guarantee that they will listen. Thank you.
Kamaljeet Maughan. Our next speaker is Brittany Magarino.
Parkside students, are you looking to get more out of your time here? Add some experience to your resume, or try something new? Well, with the community-based learning certificate, you can do all that and more. As a senior, I can tell you, I don't remember half the classes I've taken here at Parkside, but I do remember my community-based learning courses. What is community-based learning, or CBL? Community-based learning is connecting the classroom to the community through different projects. The nice thing about CBL is that it is not limited to one major or department. Through these various projects, such as strategic planning, focus groups, research, and web design, students are able to partner with community agencies to gain experience and receive class credit. Each project is tailored to the specific skills of the student. The CBL certificate is a very easy certificate to obtain. Through just 10 credits, the certificate is broken down as follows. CBL 101. CBL 101 is the introductory course of community-based learning. In this course, students do 15 hours of service work, do classroom readings, have guest presenters, and also have a showcase at the end of the semester where they present the work that they have done with their agency. Next is CBL 495. CBL 495 is a class that encompasses research, volunteer work, and reflection in form of an independent study. Alternatively, a student can take a different capstone course. For instance, I am taking Sociology Senior Seminar. In this course, I am building a portfolio and also doing a CBL project with a group. Next is an additional 4 credits of CBL. I will show you how to look for the CBL courses that are being offered in the fall here at Parkside. There are a variety of different courses that are offered here. With the certificate, though, it's important to keep in mind that you must have at least 10 credits in CBL to obtain a certificate. So how do we do this? First, we're going to go to the UW-Parkside homepage, and under current students, we're going to go to course schedule. Once you get here, this page of the registrar's office will come up. You'll hit advanced class search, we'll go down to class type, and down to community-based learning. From there, all the courses that are offered for CBL in fall 2012 will show up. It is important to note that any class offering CBL credit will have the CBL logo listed in the class information. Now, as you can see, Some classes, such as Applied Health Science and a communication course, list the amount of CBL credits that you will obtain by taking the course. If this is not listed, be sure to check with the professor that you are taking the course with to see how many credits you obtain to stay on track with the certificate. Now, I can tell you all the stories of how CBL has changed my life, but don't just take my word for it. Eloisa Duran, a communication major here and a senior, said this about community-based learning. Community-based learning has been a very inspiring, motivating, and emotional journey for me. And in the beginning, I was pessimistic that it would only be time-consuming, but in the end, it was life-changing. CBL should be mandatory for each student to take here at Parkside. Now you've seen it on the student end, but professors see the benefit in CBL as well. Dr. Helen Rosenberg, a sociology professor here at Parkside, had this to say about the CBL certificate. CBL certificate is evidence that you have learned not only from your coursework, from the experience of working hands-on to produce a product that has demonstrated value to you, your teacher, and a community partner. CBL connects learning to life. The certificate validates this experience. CBL, for me, in my personal experience, has brought light to my student career. It has changed the course of my classes and has presented me with many opportunities to apply for jobs and obtain jobs. I would recommend it to any student that I talk to that goes here at Parkside. And what can you do today? Here's the plan. You can contact Helen Rosenberg. Her information is listed above. Do not hesitate. The CBL certificate is for everyone.
People used to tell me when I was in radio that I had the perfect face for radio. And then when I was in television, they said I had the perfect face for radio. Now we have a person who has a perfect name for radio. Brent McNeil.
Hello everyone, my name is Brent McNeil, and I'd like to begin by thanking everybody for coming here today. It's really a pleasure to see you here. Douglas for donating your time to be here. It's really nice to see that people from the community come out and help out the people within the community. Bonnie Pearson, my teacher, and all the students who came out, really a pleasure. The speeches have been great thus far. It's really a positive thing to see what education can bring back to our community and what we can show everybody what we've learned kind of thing. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about the prosperity pursuit, the American voucher system, and once again I'm representing. Okay, so some of my qualifications on the topic include I attended a lot of educational seminars throughout the United States, one of which were in Washington, D.C. That was the USSA, it's the National Lobbying Organization for the Students' Rights, and then United Council as well. United Council is locally here, but there's some across the state. You pay into it, everybody here. Your segregated fees, $3. So if you guys really don't like United Council, you guys don't opt out. I'm not going to encourage that by any means, but you guys do have the option. And then I've also been active in working with some local legislators, seeing what they believe about politics and kind of trying to become encompassing as much information as I can. Alright, so in order to really own in on what we were talking about, we need to limit the scope of what I'm going to talk about. And my definition of a school voucher system, in case those who might not be totally aware, is issued by the state. They're monetary vouchers, which are K through 12. And basically what these monetary vouchers does is it allows the parents the option to send their kid either to a public or a private institution. Okay, so if you guys don't know, this is Milton Friedman right off to your left here. He wrote a lot of really clever books. He's an economist, pretty smart guy, if I do say so myself, as going into econ and political science. But he really laid the foundation for what I'm talking about here today. So definitely check out this guy. He's got some cool videos on YouTube too. But yeah, basically you got to understand the system though too in order to really get at the heart of the topic. All K through 12 funding is basically primarily done through my state. According to the DOA, last year's expenses on education was roughly $13 million. And But that's not to say that all funding is done through the state. There are some federal programs that help out the state, but the thing is, though, they aren't working as well as we'd like to think they are. And a lot of these programs are initiative-based, so based on the merit of the student performance and the student-teacher performance, they give money to students. All right, so an opportunity. You guys don't get my little reference right there. That's the window of opportunity. And then I even made up a little clever, I should say, acronym. I call it SLAM. And these are just some highlights of what I believe to be some of the main points of why I like about the system. So student voucher system appropriates per a price per pupil rather. So let's say in Milwaukee, they're actually doing this right now, and it's about $6,300 to kind of take a school. And instead of a kid, going to a public institution, they now have the opportunity for their parents to choose what system they believe works for them through the private industry. Low income and under the poverty belt people who normally cannot afford to pay for private institutions now have the chance to be able to do this. This is something that's awesome. And in America, we should all be allowed to do this. I've always thought education is a right. If education truly is a right, then I don't think government should be able to have a stronghold in what we do. It allows for active engagement in the parents. Parents can now play an active role instead of, kind of casually and listlessly placing their students in the arms of our government institutions. And then markets are allowed to operate with unrestrained ability. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so we do have a problem and we need to address it. Why legislators and representatives will not choose to opt in such a system. We have a lack of choice, we have government control, we have quality and special interests. All right, so government. According to the U.S. Bureau of Statistics, 98,706 public institutions. Now, if we compare that with private institutions, that's 32,740. So now we know that nearly 2/3 of all of our education comes from the state. If you look at right here, kind of a thing like the Hunger Games. I know we've made a lot of reference to it, but I kind of thought I'd throw the point on so I wouldn't go through the movie. But really, though, so basically what happened in the Hunger Games was the government had complete control over our resources. And this is a picture of one of the district leaders and the female that was actually sent to represent the district in the Hunger Games. But yeah, the government has complete control. And that's similar to what's happening right now. The government has control over our educational system. They are failing to allow Americans the opportunity to succeed right now. So they have a monopoly. And in here, it's not monopoly. It started around 100 years ago, and it's kept going since. And thus being, we have a government failure because our education system is not failing to produce results for every citizen that pays in through the property bill. All right, so if we look at quality, let's show some data for this. The OECD, which is a 501c3 out of London. I'm not sure if they operate under a 501c3, but that's a nonprofit here in America. But if we look at America's scores, compared to the other countries, we're 14th in reading, 25th in mathematics, and 17th in sciences. I don't know when that's ever been acceptable, but America should fall short of, less than 10 or less than 10 on these charts. It's unbelievable. And if you go by VoteView, which is another nonprofit organization, 7 out of 10 students were graduated, but another 3 are left hanging to the system. Okay, so who are these opponents of the school voucher system? A lot of them are special interests, I'm not going to lie. Lots of things that we do here in the government are mainly controlled through special interests. And this is another education group problem. I came up with the ASL, another clever acronym I would say so myself. The ASL is a national labor rights group out of Washington, and they're one of the biggest ones, or for unions rather. And so when we think about the ASL as an acronym, we think of administrators, food vendors, and labor unions. So these are the people that actually oppose the school voucher system. Administrators oppose it because once more teachers leave the program, that means that they're going to have to try to find a job in the private industry, which is competing at a much higher rate. Now that we've unrestrained the free market, it's actually growing. Food vendors, they're actually going to have to produce higher quality food. Yeah, I mean, no more serving a kids junk that we get in public, but actually, if you look at the private, they're serving the top-notch food. You know, that's something we should be doing here. But you know what? Since all the kids naturally have to go to this institution, food vendors don't care. They're going to get paid out of their way. And then the labor unions, I mean, that's one less person for them to represent. When teachers start leaving, when students start moving over, that's one less person. So we're going to fight at will to make sure that we do not end the system. All right, so if you look at some of the implementation, it has not been done everywhere. It hasn't. And this is why I think it's such a brilliant topic to talk about. So the implementation of Milwaukee did it. There's higher education rates, more likely to advance on into college. A lot of these people adopted the voucher system are coming out of the slums, places that, you know, they didn't even give them a chance to succeed. Milwaukee public schools are by 3% unemployment are increasing in language, in science, and 3% in social sciences. Some of the other countries, if we look back on the OECD chart, Hong Kong was #1 in composite scores among other countries. The failure that this was not on there is just because of the way the government is structured, and they refuse to allow the country to be on there, mainly because of their non-democratic ways. And then the Netherlands, which is on there, they actually doesn't do a voucher system. It's 6th and 8th, depending on which discipline you want. So what you can do, I have a petition, and we can pass it around. I'd like everyone to sign it at the end. You can sign both of our petitions. Get informed, read up, and speak with your local legislators. I'm sure they'd be glad to help. They represent you, and you're supposed to go and talk to them. You do say stuff. Thank you guys very much for your
Our seventh speaker is Daniel Rosenberg.
Hi everybody, my name is Dan Rosenberg. I'm here to talk to you about the Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act, which is a current piece of legislation that's going through our House right now. Voting is actually going to be called on it tomorrow, so this is a bit of a hot button issue right now. Most people don't even know about it. Being up here reminds me a little bit of TED Talks, one of my favorite things to watch on the internet. And that's the great thing about the internet. It's a fantastic medium for the free exchange of information and ideas. Some of the founding ideas behind TED, and being up here, having the opportunity to transmit this information, to educate and to spread the word. Just thank you very much for being here and for the opportunity. Now, the Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act is an amendment to the National Security Act of 1947. It means to add provisions for attacks on government institutions and on private networks and intelligent properties. It's being called the return of SOPA and piloted by several online activist groups. And it gives the government the right to log where you go on the internet and what you're doing. And that information is actually passed directly from private internet service providers to the National Security Administration. There's no middleman or median in between. This act means to provide a bridge, a government legal way for private institutions to give this information to the government. And while this seems like a good idea at first, a fantastic way for the government to help to regulate things or to help keep an eye on things like piracy or the trade of information, non-specific language leaves the act very open to broad interpretation, which is always dangerous when it comes to things that we put into law. Specific excerpts from the bill. This is on the second page. This is the whole of the second page. And the bill's summary is provided as a way to provide for the sharing for certain cyber threat intelligence and cyber threat information between the intelligence community and cybersecurity entities, and for other purposes. That's a great way to start off a bill, and for other purposes. The next piece of shaky information that we need to look at are the provisions that the federal government has as far as its use of this information. Specifically down here in subsection B, the information has to be used for a cybersecurity purpose, again, very non-specific, or the protection of national security of the United States. And I'm sure we're all very, very familiar with the Patriot Act and what national security constitutes. The other item of note is that the government cannot use this information for any sort of market regulatory purpose, meaning the government can't use this information to sway money multipliers or anything like that as far as the Fed goes. The last piece of very dangerous wording in here, and why you should all be very worried about this passing, is that the federal preemption allows for this legislation to surpass any state level or any political breakdown below the state, be it a county or city level. Meaning once this is enacted, there's nothing that can be done on the state or local level to protect those citizens of that area. Now, there is a lot of worry in the government as far as the supporters of this legislation go. There are organizations like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the American Civil Liberties Union, demand progress. Even Barack Obama is now threatening to veto the bill if it does pass. However, there are lots of opportunities for that to come back and bite us, particularly with a 2/3 vote in both houses. In that case, the president likely will not bother to veto because it'll just get voted right back through again. But as far as these organizations go and our opposition to them, to this bill, more than 15,000 people have contacted Congress members by phone. More than 100,000 have sent in emails, and avaz.org, which is an online petitioning website, has reported over 700,000 online petition signatures in response and in opposition to this legislation. The response has been likened to recent protests like, you can't see this down here, but SOPA and PIPA and Occupy Wall Street, and the amount of response that the internet has had to this. And that's an amazing thing, if you think about it for a second. The response that the internet has brought about, exactly what this bill is trying to work against, the freedom of exchange of information and the right to your privacy on the internet. If it wasn't for these institutions, we wouldn't have this kind of hearsay and this kind of spread of word. But as far as what you can do, you can voice your opinion about this by contacting representatives, signing an online petition like on avaz.org or on demandprogress.org, telling your friends and family, keeping up with current issues and legislation. The fact that most people don't know about this is really terrifying. These are your rights that are coming into question here, your rights that are being threatened. And we need to get the word out to people so that things like this aren't done behind our back, so that the citizens of this country are aware of things that are being passed that affect them. And of course, you can always give a public speech. Thank you very much for having me. Again, I'm Dan Rosenberg, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Daniel Rosenberg, ladies and gentlemen. Give a public speech. Now there's an idea. All right, to give a public speech, our 8th speaker is Joel Trentadue.
So about 2 years ago, I was having difficulty sleeping, so I went to Walgreens to try to find some kind of solution to my problem. And I bought this product, mostly because it was the most expensive, so I thought it'd be the most likely to work. Now, but also, it says that it's a natural care, and they've been in business since 1860. All those things are great. But there was this little part on the bottom here, that little part on the bottom there, homeopathic. Now, about 2 years ago, I didn't know exactly what that meant. I thought it had something to do, I thought it was just a synonym for natural medicine. But as it turns out, that's not the case. Homeopathy actually has a very specific definition. It is a system of medical practice that treats a disease, especially by the administration of minute doses of a remedy that would, in larger amounts, produce in healthy persons symptoms similar to those of the disease. Now, there are two parts of that definition that I want to draw your attention to. First off is the minute doses part, and the second part is produce symptoms similar to those of the disease. Now, what that means is what they call within the homeopathic framework the law of similars, the idea that like treats like. And this is the idea that since onions make your eyes water and nose run, like allergies, onions cure allergies. But you can't just eat an onion because you have to dilute it first. And potency actually increases with dilution. Now, this is a bit contrary to the things that we understand and the things that we observe in our day-to-day life. Here I have the dose-response curve for alcohol. As you drink more of it, the effect increases. But according to homeopathy, this dose-response curve actually, as it approaches zero, becomes more potent and also becomes medicine. Now, this isn't some, like, stuff that's sold off a sketchy website somewhere. I searched the Walgreens database, and they have 59 items. I mean, this is where I bought it. Now, but you don't need to buy it. You can make it, because really, it's just dilution in water. So here I have, normally you start with some substance. I've chosen blue, and you dilute it. I'm using the C scale, which is 1 part of something to 99 parts of water. So this is 1 part in 100 blue to water. And as I dilute this further, that's also called 1C. Now this is 2C, which is 1 part blue to 10,000 parts water. And as you can see, the color is starting to disappear. It's still there a little bit, but it's disappearing. And this is my third dilution. That's 3C. That's 1 part per million, and the color is basically gone, which is not very surprising. Now, as I move on to 4C, this is actually a very special dilution because 4C is the concentration of arsenic that is allowed in U.S. drinking water. So if I had started out with arsenic instead of blue, this vial right here would be totally safe for me to drink. It is so dilute. Now, this moves on. This continues. Next we have 5C. So next we have 5C, and after that, naturally, comes 6C, which is the concentration of the medication that I paid $26 for. Now, what this medication was, here are the active ingredients. Note that active is in quotes. This is at a concentration of 1 part per trillion. And if you notice up there in the upper right-hand corner, one of the ingredients is coffee. And this makes sense within a homeopathic framework because coffee, as you drink more of it, makes you more awake. Therefore, as you drink less of it, it makes you more sleepy. Now, this dilution doesn't stop there. It continues. Up to 12 dilutions, you end up getting to a very, very special dilution where it becomes not a question of how much is in your solution. It becomes a question of what are the odds that there is even 1 molecule remaining in your solution, and that's at 12C. So after I dilute this 12 times, there'll be a 60% chance that there is even 1 molecule of the original substance remaining in my solution. But they don't stop there either. It goes to 30C. That's the dilution recommended for most purposes. And that would require, now remember, we're talking about odds of it being here. That would require giving 2 billion doses per second to 6 billion people for 4 billion years to deliver a single molecule of the original material to any of those 4 billion patients. And it's really popular. People pay great amounts of money for this. So the question becomes, why do people buy things that have no chance of working because there's nothing in them that can help them? But I know it's funny, but I want you to put yourself in a position. Imagine you're a parent and you have a sick child at home. And your child is suffering, and you go to buy them something to alleviate their symptoms, to make them feel better. And you see 2 different things. On the left, oh, actually, it's on the right now. On the right, you see a product that says all natural, drug-free, no side effects, tastes great, really, 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 really low alcohol, honey base. And on the right, you see a product that teenagers use to hallucinate. Now, but remember, your goal here is to help your child. Your goal here is to buy the product that's going to alleviate the symptoms that your child is experiencing. And the one on the left isn't going to do that because it's fake medicine. There's nothing in it. There's no active ingredients. So please, don't buy fake medicine. Don't buy homeopathic remedies.
Joel Trinidad, ladies and gentlemen. Now, since this is the first ever public speaking night, I have no idea where we go from here. However, I will tell you that the judges are making their decision, and we're going to give them a few minutes to do that. We're going to call on Bonnie Peterson to come up and talk to us and tell us about this particular event and things to come.
I want to thank the students for speaking. I want to say a few things about what you've just seen here tonight. These 8 people have been voted on by their classes. So they earn the respect and the trust of 8 other classes. So from about 160 some students, we've come down to 8. And these are beginning public speaking classes at UW-Parkside. You guys, if you haven't gotten pride out of this, this is what's been hiding in classrooms all this time. And you get to see it. It's beautiful. I don't know who the judges will pick to win, but these are fantastic speeches. I am so proud of all of you. Really, really, I'm just proud of Parkside. So that's the first thing I really do have to say. Now we have a welcome or a thank you from the Theater Arts Department. The thank you again from the speech program. I want to tell you to prepare to come to the next public speaking night, which will be probably the first week in December. We are going to have more door prizes. We're going to have higher prizes for the students. There will be more tension. I can't imagine there'll be more talent, though, than what you just saw here, but prepare for that.
I hold in my hands the winner. By the way, did you know that Nicholas Michael Rabnikar is now a father? How about that?
Thank you.
Very nicely done. Having done that twice.
Didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, well, wait until you get to the diapering thing, big guy. That'll be fun. Joel Trentadue, ladies and gentlemen. What do you want me to do?
Shake everyone's hand.
Congratulations.
Get your money, honey. There you go. Congratulations. Good job.
Size only.
I'm proud of you. Really good job.
Chris Evanson. Tracy Rybar.
Congratulations.
Let's see if I can remember everybody by just the back of their heads.
Congratulations.
And the answer is no, I can't.
Good. And happy wedding present there.
All right.
She's going to get married in this room. There they are. This is history being made. Our first public speaking night contestants. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Congratulations.